There are more adaptations of Pinocchio than lies he tells. Everyone can have their own version of Pinocchio if they wanted to. Maybe you want the original film, the 1911 silent film from Italy, or maybe you're in the majority like I once was and enjoyed the Disney version and thought it was the best one yet. It's a whimsical, sweet telling of the story that's loose and breezy, with enchanting hand-drawn animation and a memorable story. Or maybe hand-drawn isn't your thing, and you want a live-action one that gives you nightmares for days. Or the robot one, you know, the Pinocchio 3000, the cool kids really love that one. Or you could have Disney Pinocchio, but bad. But the best Pinocchio is without a doubt this one.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
All jokes aside, either way, there has been tons of Pinocchios. For years, Disney's version has been the pinnacle, where the series peaked and never got better. It took 8 decades, but Guillermo del Toro has created the Pinocchio movie that is the best ever. Del Toro's Pinocchio follows the footsteps of the Disney version. By the end, it ends with the same general story of the other great version, but it takes a different path. It's a darker story, but not just to be dark with no substance. We get to see Geppetto with his son Carlo. They are happy as can be until he dies from an accident. And by accident, I mean bomber planes dropped off missiles in their hometown, not to blow anything up, but because they need to get some cargo out. This is when Geppetto becomes a heavy drinker, and doesn't make Pinocchio from sadness, but mostly from rage and being drunk. Once Pinocchio is born, the movie turns into the classic tale that mirrors Disney, but while Disney went the path of daisies, this one went into the dark woods. Pinocchio dies multiple times and learns about the afterlife. He goes to war and gets tangled up with some... Can I even say that? Let's just say he gets tangled up with some really, really bad people. But none of this feels out of place in the story. Guillermo del Toro crafts a delicate story that takes what we know about Pinocchio and changes it into a natural, darker path than what many audience members are used to. But also, it feels like the story should have been told like this from the very beginning.
Papa, there's something I don't understand.
What is it, Pinocchio?
Everybody likes him.
Who?
Him.
Huh?
They were all singing to him. He's made of wood too. Why do they like him and not me?
Pinocchio himself in this version is the best one yet. In the Disney version, he was always learning about life and mostly always doing what was good. In this one, you could tell he has a conscience and the mind of a boy, where he can be a jerk sometimes, but he also doesn't know any better. It's also nice to see Ewan McGregor come back to animation after his last animated role.
What's your name?
I'm Rodney Big Bottom. No, I'm Rodney Copperbottom. Copperbottom.
Well, what happened to your friend?
He's been rear-ended.
The stop motion is absolutely marvelous. You can tell so much heavy craftsmanship went into creating this world and the different locations Pinocchio travels to. It looks incredible and breathtaking. I really wish I could have saw this in a theater. It's the type of work that shows animation can be handled well and as beautifully as live action projects. His design is also really unique from the previous versions, looking more wood than boy. I love the way his nose grows when he lies. The stop motion gives it an advantage, because unlike the other versions where the nose just stretched, this one you can see the wood break and shape into a bigger nose.
I am not lying!
Will you look at you?
The animation makes me wish there were more stop motion projects like this. The orange sunset drenching the land, the shadows of buildings bouncing against other buildings that aren't even in the frame, the clouds that look like an old masterful painting. The animation is revolutionary and has some of the best cinematography I've ever seen in an animated film. The story is where the movie shines, and it sucks because when I review something I don't want to spoil. Sure, I did say a few plot elements that end up happening, but they end in ways you won't expect. The story is a huge risk from the source material of this wooden boy we've known for years, and it's about time we get this story that's darker and executed perfectly. And by dark, I mean it gets really dark, giving a theme of anti-war, which is the last thing I didn't expect to see from Pinocchio. The ending of the movie, which I won't spoil, is what made me truly realize this version of Pinocchio is definitive. It's an ending that made me tear up a lot and sit there thinking, how the hell did they do that ending? That's not an ending you would expect from a kids movie like this. But Pinocchio proves that animation isn't just for kids, and it can be as meaningful to adults as well. If I had any complaints, it's that the movie does have a few songs, and while most of them are good, there are a few that are hit or miss. but every other aspect outshines this. Del Toro's Pinocchio is the best yet. It only took 80 years, but this version is now the king of them all. And by its side, as the second best version, and the prince, is the Pauly Shore version.
It wouldn't buy.